Alright, continuing on with our list is Go Eat Worms. Go Eat Worms is part of my unholy Goosebumps trinity. Yeah. I didn't like this one. Pretty much, this is one of the books I would have because I love Goosebumps. And I think the characters and the premise are fun and everything, but this would not be my first pick to pick up for a reread. I still don't know which one of my unholy trinity is worse. This one was kind of bad. So for me, that's this one, Go Eat Worms. You Can't Scare Me, and Night of the Living Dummy 3. I think I need to make a video, maybe in between these or after my list here is done, of books that I thought was worse than Chicken. But anyways, this is about a boy, I think his name was Todd, if I remember right. Yeah, his name is Todd, and he's like obsessed with worms, right? Okay, he's a boy obsessed with worms. Nothing out of the ordinary there. And one day he like hurts a worm. I think he like cuts it, something like that. He cuts it in half. And then after that he like starts seeing worms everywhere. And even though he likes worms, they start to freak him out, right? And the problem with this book is a lot of things that happen were, I think like a dream or a prank from somebody, you know, and nothing really happens until the end. That's the problem with these type of Goosebumps books. Like, I'm fine with things building up, but nothing happened. Next is Ghost Beach. This one was decent. Not my absolute favorite ghost story from Goosebumps, but it is a pretty spooky read. It's a decent ghost story, I'll say that. Cool cover. These kids, they go, not with their grandparents. I think they're like really much older cousins. Like, reading the story and watching the episode, you would have thought that it was like their aunt or uncle or their grandparents, but no, I think they're actually cousins. So they stay with their elderly cousins at, I forget why they're there, but anyways, they end up like going to this beach and meeting these kids. And of course, in these stories, there's always like stories and legends and stuff. And they end up, if I remember correctly, seeing this light, and they think it's this ghost or whatever. This is one of the ones that, you know, are kind of hard to talk about without giving things away. The ending was interesting. Goosebumps always has interesting twists that you don't see coming. Yeah, this was a decent read. Return of the Mummy. So this one was actually made into a episode on the Goosebumps show, but it's written in a way where you don't really have to read the first one. I think it helps to read the first one to kind of know that they've been in the situation before. I'm not sure which one I like better. I might actually like the first one better. This one was good and it had a decent adaptation. I think this is the one where they talk about like the scarabs and stuff. And there's stuff that happens with that. Again, these are short books. It's kind of hard to talk without spoiling things. But this one was a good read. It was fun. A little bit more adventurous. Once again, we're in Egypt. So a much different setting than the typical Goosebumps book. Which is always refreshing. I like the fall things that, you know, is like traditional in Goosebumps. Like dark falls and other things, so they use falls a lot. But once in a while, it's nice to step out into somewhere that's either a real place or a place inspired by something, but you know, something a little bit different. And this once again has Gabe and Sari as characters, and I'm pretty sure they're back with his uncle again. It's been a couple years since I've read this one, but it was entertaining, and I really did enjoy this one. Phantom of the Auditorium. So this one's a little bit more of a mystery than like a spooky one. It's got a little bit of spookiness to it, but it's a little bit more mysterious. Obviously, this is playing Phantom of the Opera, which I've never read, but it's somewhere on my TBR, and I'm thinking of adding it to my 40 before 40 list. I'm thinking of making most of that list like classic literature. So, anyways, this is about like a group of kids that are in a play. It might be an actual theater class, I can't remember, but anyways, they're doing a play and stuff starts happening. Things go wrong, and of course the kid that's normally kind of like the prankster, or like, the goofy kid, is the one that's blamed and stuff. And there's like this legend about like this phantom that lives in the school and stuff like that. This one was a fun one. It was a good episode. Not an absolute favorite. Not my favorite of twists. Not like a big twist. But the overall story was entertaining to read. So, Attack of the Mutant. This is one of my favorites. I think, if I remember correctly, I did put this in my top 10. This is one of my favorite of the books and the TV episode. Like, there were parts in the episode that were cut out that I wished were still there, or they wish they had put in there. But it was still a pretty good adaptation. This one is more fun, right? So this one is about a kid named Skipper. He is basically obsessed with comic books, especially a villain named the Masked Mutant, okay? And then there's like, what was his name? Galloping Gazelle or something like that, like the superhero. It's so ridiculous and fun. But anyways, he is on the bus one day going to a dentist appointment, and then I think he misses his stop, right? He meets this girl on there that's like new to his school, I believe. Libby. Yeah, I think her name was Libby. And they get talking, and like he misses a stop. So he's gonna get off the bus and backtrack because it's, I think he like missed a block or whatever. But anyways, he sees the mutant towers. And nobody else sees them, and when he points to them and he shows it in his book, like his comic book, people, think he's just reading too much comic books. Like, one guy, I can't remember if it's in the book, but I know it's in the show, that he said that those things will rot your brain, right? And his dad is tired of him, like, talking about comics all the time. He wants him to be interested in something else. So, obviously no one believes Skipper, and so he kind of gets the help from Libby to go and check it out, and, he kind of comes face to face with the mutant, the masked mutant from the comic book. So basically it is about this comic book villain and hero that kind of come out of the comic book. It's just super fun. I really liked it. This one's entertaining. It's one of those ones that are just so out there. It's just more fun than scary. Although parts of it I can see are scary in concept, but still, it's mostly fun. Alright, A Night in Terror Tower. So this one is really good. It's one of those ones where the episode is just as good. Super well done. I think the only thing that rivals a good adaptation in Goosebumps like this is maybe One Day at Horrorland, because that one was fantastically done. But whereas One Day in Horrorland was a little bit more spooky fun, this one is a little bit more dark. So these two kids, Eddie and Sue, they're American kids on tour in England. I think their parents are there for business, and they're touring this place called Terror Tower, which is the place where they used to like torture prisoners and stuff, which already is kind of dark for Goosebumps. Like, obviously they don't talk about actual torture there and stuff, but the fact that they just mentioned anything like that, we're getting a little bit more on the dark side of Goosebumps. So they get separated from their tour group, and this man in black is chasing them, and he just keeps saying stuff like that, it's time to go with him, and they don't understand what's happening, and then they find out that they don't remember their last name, or where they lived, or what their parents look like. And that does seem quite like a scary situation. Like, that would definitely freak me out. I like that, once again, we're in a different setting. You know, this time we're in England. And, you know, there's backstory and other things. Some things in here are kind of predictable. Whether you've just seen the show or you've read the book, you know, some things are obvious. Like, the twist is obvious. But it's still a good read. My Hairiest Adventure. So, I know a lot of people have issues with this one. They didn't like the twist, but I thought it was interesting. I definitely, and I know this is Goosebumps, right? And these are like children's horror books, but still, I'm having a hard time believing how this would happen. But either way, I enjoyed the twist. I thought it was interesting, different, definitely something you didn't see coming. This is about a group of kids, mainly this boy here, who have started a band. They're like friends from school or something like that, and they have like a battle of the bands going on. And one day they find this thing in, I think, his garage called Instatan, and like he puts it on to like see if he gets a tan or something like that, right? But he ends up like growing hair like on his hands and everything, like, you know, I think he grows like, I don't know, maybe full like facial hair like on his hands and everything. And I think his parents just kind of like say it's like a allergic reaction to the stuff, but obviously, you know, something more is going on. And that's all I'm really gonna say. I like that it had things going on, like there's a mystery to it, you know. I think there was a point where his friend, I think, either moves or disappears or something, and it's another one of those situations where I think either they tell him to stay away, I can't remember, or like they pretend like she never existed. And it's definitely dark in a way. Like, in a way, if people could, they probably would. And I think that's the scary part about it. Okay, so the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. So, I'm not saying that, like, Tara did it to herself, but, like, from a 12-year-old's point of view, I can see that type of revenge, right? But her brother probably should fix that at some point. Anyways, not giving too much away, this one is about a boy. I can't remember his name. I just remember the sister's name because she was freaking annoying. But anyways, this boy, he has the sister named Tara. I'm pretty sure her name was Tara, who gets away with everything, right? She's like their family's little angel, and he's just sick of it, right? She's always embarrassing him, just causing trouble for him. Well, one day his father brings home this cuckoo clock, and he discovers that the clock, when you like mess with it and stuff, can send you back in time, right? Or not actually send you back in time, but it makes him younger. Like, he keeps progressing in age to the point where he's basically a toddler and has to fight his way back to the store where they got it. Well, yeah, actually I think things are backtracking in time, right? So obviously his thing that he was trying to do, I think he was like trying to set up his sister to get in trouble, that ends up backfiring and, yeah, makes him regress in age. So, scary concept, but I just couldn't stand the sister. Oh my god, just too annoying. Monster Blood 3. Like I said, The Monster Blood books are pretty much the same. It's these kids messing around with the stuff called Monster Blood. Even though they know what it does, they always seem to kind of come back to it some way, somehow. But they're fun reads. They're fun reads. I don't know why. Just they're pretty fast paced. They don't drag. There's nothing really too deep about them, or not, you know, anything really going on. But it's like if you want like a lighter Goosebumps read that, you know, has a reoccurring thing, recurring characters, and just, you know, it's a fast read. So this one is one basically where Evan, I think, like ingests some or gets some on him, and he like grows like very, very tall, as you see here, and that's a big part of it. I'm pretty sure. No, maybe that's the last one. But there's like this character, Conan, that's a bully, and I think between like the second one to like the last one, like Conan and his cousin, Evan's cousin Kermit, like plays bigger parts. Whereas like the first one was just him and Andy, and then I'm pretty sure the second one was a lot him and Andy too, but I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, entertaining. It came from beneath the sink. Again, one of my favorites because of its ridiculousness. This one's a little bit more funny than scary, although being in that situation I can see is scary. Knowing if everyday household items are actually monsters could be scary. And being able to get rid of said thing. I guess that is the scary part when you look at it from a different situation. But like I said, this one is actually a little bit more funny. And it's another one of my favorite adaptations. The acting was well done in that. I thought they really brought the characters and the situation to life. So this is about a girl who finds a gruel under her sink. And a gruel is basically a monster sponge, right? It's like a monster that looks like a sponge, right? And it brings bad luck. But she can't get rid of it because if you get rid of the gruel, you will die. Again, it's just ridiculous because these kids are trying to figure out what to do with this monster sponge, basically. And it's just a lot of fun. And then there's also like this talk, and it does happen at the end. I'm going to kind of spoil it, but it's not like a major spoiler. There is a vampire potato. I can't remember what it's called now. The name is escaping me, and I have no idea. I'm going to have to look it up if he just made this up or if these are based on actual like things out of folklore, mythology, or whatever. Like maybe not directly a sponge, but like maybe a story about like inanimate objects coming to life, becoming monsters. I never thought to look that up. There's probably inspiration behind that, or maybe just something totally made up. But yeah, one of my favorites. If you don't want something that's a little bit more on the spookier side and you want something a little bit more fun, definitely read this one.